Gruesome Magazine.
Hello once again, I'm Doc Rotten, and this is Gruesome Magazine, where we review the very latest in streaming and video on-demand horror movies. Each week, my co-hosts, Jeff Mohr, Crystal Cleveland, Dave Dreher, Christopher G. Mohr, and I will take a look at various spooky, scary, and gory genre offerings. Tonight, we're reviewing For the Sake of Vicious, streaming on Shudder beginning January 6, 2022. All right, let's get into it. With me this week is my co-host, Jeff Mohr. Jeff, how are you doing, sir?
I'm good. And I'm pretty handy with a hammer.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that just visions of
I see
uncomfortableness.
I see what you did.
Oh, no. All right. Also joining us this week is Crystal Cleveland, the Living Dead Girl. How you doing?
I'm great. I don't know what I'm going to say. Actually, I don't know how to compete with Jeff's hammering.
He's got hammered. All right. Also joining us is a award-winning filmmaker, Christopher G. Mohr.
Is it a crowbar?
It's a crowbar.
Oh.
Yeah. Speaking of hammered, how you doing, Christopher?
Instead of giving you jazz hands, I'm giving you glass hands.
Glass hands.
But you'll have to see the movie to understand that.
Oh, wow. All right. Rounding out the crew is the one and only Dave Dreher. How you doing?
Is this thing called The Sake of Vicious or For the Sake of the Vicious? Because For the Sake of Vicious doesn't make any sense. There's no one named Vicious in the movie.
There isn't, but there's only one in the title. So
it's very strange. I already don't like it. It's not worded properly.
No.
Was the kid's name not Vicious? The son's name?
No, I think it's just for the sake of being vicious.
I thought she said
then it should say that.
Vicious.
If someone named their kid Vicious,
it could be For the Sake of Viciousness. We could go there, maybe.
Oh, maybe.
I missed that part.
Yeah, grammar police. All right, what we're going to do tonight is we're going to give our first impression of the film. That will be spoiler free. Then we're going to dive into discussion. We'll get into spoilers, and then we'll wrap things up with our final thoughts, our score 1 to 5, and our favorite scene. And of course, it goes without saying, but we want to thank you for joining us. We hope you enjoy not only this review, but many others we have on the site. And we hope you will take the time to subscribe and hit the like button down below.
Yay!
Yes, share with a friend.
Oh
And
my
I'll
God. What is happening
stop
here?
like this.
Who are you?
You can also leave your comments down below. Doc, don't do that anymore, man. You're freaking me out. All right, let's take a look at the card. For the Sake of Vicious, streaming on Shudder beginning January 6, 2022. Directors are Gabriel and Reese Eveneshen. The writers are Reese Eveneshen. And a story by Gabriel Carrer. The cast includes, but is not limited to, Laura Burke, Nick Smith, Colin, Paradine, and James Fleur. Synopsis is an overworked nurse returns home to find a maniac hiding out with a bruised and beaten hostage. When an unexpected wave of violent intruders descend upon her home, it becomes a fight for survival. Yes. All right, let's dive into this, our first impressions. And Dave, sir, since you're in the corner, what was your first impression of this film?
Oh, well, you know what? This reminded me a lot of, Everly. We all remember Everly?
I do remember Everly.
It reminded me a lot of that. It reminded me a lot of, in a way, kind of like Shoot 'em Up as well. This was just a real high-paced, high-action gore fest is what it really kind of was. Kind of troubling subject matter, but overall, I kind of liked this. I really did. I liked the fast pace. I loved, there at the third mark, about the third way through movie, we kind of pivot and go a totally different way, and that intrigued me as well. I really liked the gore effects. It was a bonkers movie. This movie was freaking bonkers.
It was bonkers, man. Bonkers.
Yeah, it was just craziness, and I'm sure as we go into deeper into the discussion here, we can start talking about some of that. But I kind of liked it, and I liked kind of no holds barred, in your face gore effects that we got. It was. But you hate to call a movie like this enjoyable. It really wasn't enjoyable. but it did keep me. It kind of kept me in it the entire time.
Now you might say it was vicious. Yeah. You see what I did there. All right, Christopher G. Mohr, you're up next. What was your first impression of For the Sake of Vicious?
This movie was not made for me.
Nope.
Let's just say that up front.
Yeah.
The content in it, I didn't like. It tries to be very Quentin Tarantino-ish, Joe Carnahan-ish, but just proves that those filmmakers know how to do that kind of stuff better. It's got some really, I guess, good violence, but the main male actor I thought was horrible. The whole beginning of the film is him going.
Yes.
I was like, what is he, like a Thanksgiving Day balloon? I don't understand what's happening here. And then the content of it, I just don't like anything dealing with that kind of stuff involving, we'll just say, kids. And then they get into it a little bit more descriptive wise later, and I'm like, we don't need to go there.
Yeah.
And I think I don't know. It felt a little bit more reveling in it, and I just turned me off to the rest of the film. And then I just felt like the motivations behind the characters didn't make a lot of sense. They tried to be all kind of hip with these guys wearing masks, and the one idiot wearing his motorcycle helmet, which is going to limit your vision to begin with. Just overall, I mean, it's shot competently. I'll give it that much. But I think the motivations around the characters, I thought the screenplay, the acting, all of that didn't work, and a lot of the action's very messily done. I mean, it's like you have the female character who has a hammer in her hand, and then something happens. She's like, "Ah!" I'm like, "Come on, you know, you're a mom. You want to live for your kids." So I just got mad at the characters, and by the end of it, I didn't really care. I actually felt very icked out by it, to be honest.
Icked out.
And I don't, and you know, again, I don't. Maybe this film is not for me. I'm not really. I mean, it does go into a little torture porny in parts.
Yeah.
And the subject matter, I just don't want. I'm not. It's not the kind of stuff I really want to see in a movie. And maybe other people have a stronger ability to deal with that kind of stuff. And just how they sort of go into it a little bit more. It's like, no, just don't. I mean, there's like a flashback saying, I don't need to see that. Okay. You've already explained it enough. And by the end of it, they have like a little reveal thing. And it's like, okay, we get it. Whatever. I don't know. It just this movie irritated me.
Sounds like there's a lot for you to digest.
This movie is irritating as finding sand in your underwear. It's just irritating.
No. All right, Crystal, you're up next. What was your first impression of For the Sake of Vicious?
So I agree with Christopher. It's not really for me either. It's not just the subject matter though for me, which if it's just talked about, I can pretty much handle it. But here, the story doesn't make any damn sense. Like, they keep turning. God, I don't want to give anything away, but like, what on earth? Are they supposed to be trying to hurt this guy? And the guy calls people, are these people trying to save him or kill him? I don't know. I'm confused. I just don't think any of it makes any sense. And there's literally no reason as to why most of this is happening. I know that there's this external reason, but all this deeper meaning and what this whole there's too many questions. And I get it. I did like the fighting scenes. They were fast paced, but I do agree that like the character motivations and the way that they change and turn and twist and, oh, you're just going to believe this so quickly, or this is the way that it's ridiculous. It's not believable at all. If you're so dead set on doing something to someone and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, okay. No, that's just stupid. It's just ridiculous. I mean, I had a real issue with that. But Yeah, I think that also there was a point where the lead actress got hurt and she's like so jacked up, and then all of a sudden she's okay, which really messed me up. I'm just not. I'm like, okay, I'm out. It's okay. It's okay, and it's got some good violence, some good fight scenes. I think they did a good job with some of the aspects of it. I like the color grading too. I like kind of the feel of it. It just doesn't make any sense to me. In addition to it being, about something that's difficult, like I said, it was just talked about and stuff. I could probably handle that, but there's more that makes it not great.
Oh boy! All right, Jeff, sir, your first impression of For the Sake of Fishes.
Well, first, I think I need to apologize to Reese Eveneshen because there's no R in his last name. I'm sorry, Doc. I'm sorry.
The bad Doc's face. Oh, Doc's face. Doc's like, what?
What?
You called him like Evershen or something like that.
I love it. I love Doc. He's like, what?
Who stole the
I'm
R?
sorry. Yeah, who stole the R? But anyway, so some similar things and some not so similar things. For me, well, first off, I got to find out when you're talking about. You sounded like you were talking about multiple kids in danger. All I got was the one guy's daughter was raped, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And we know that early on, so that's not really a spoiler. That's the only thing I saw where he was out for vengeance. So I just thought there was way too much dumb stuff in the plot or the storyline. Just people not making, like Crystal mentioned the hammer thing. There's just a whole bunch of these things where I'm going, these time frames don't match up. Like this fight's going on and nobody's doing anything about it. I don't want to say too much without giving too much away, but I just thought there was too many inconsistencies and breakdowns in the logic in the story. There's some other things we mentioned. They're at this nurse's house, and she says something about something that happened 6 months ago. We never find out anything about that. I too was not impressed with Nick Smith's performance as Chris. I think it was probably a tough role, but I did like Laura Burke as the nurse, and Colin Paradine, the guy that spends most of his time tied up in a chair in the movie. I thought he was decent. Yeah, and I don't want to give too much else away. Lots of violence. I thought it was choreographed okay. Although even though the people do dumb things like,
yeah,
I got a gun in my hand, and instead of shooting the guy, I'm gonna throw him up against the wall or something. I don't know. So that kind of stuff seemed rampant in there, and it bothered me. And then even at the end, I was kind of like, really? That's what you do? So anyway.
But
I enjoyed it. It's violent as hell, and I enjoyed watching it. I enjoyed watching it. I said a whole bunch of negative stuff, but timeline stuff bugs me, and dumb decisions bug me, and things.
There's a lot of that in this. Yeah. I'll try to be quick. I'm in Dave's camp. I thought this was an enjoyable film. I had quite an interesting time with it. I've seen better versions of this film. What was the Russian one, Jeff? That we did a couple of years back, which is
Why Don't You Just Die?
Which is so much.
That was way better than this.
But I was fascinated by this. I like. There's a lack of dialogue. A lot of people just stand around and don't actually say anything, but yet it seems to tell the story, and I really enjoyed that. I thought you were talking about the fight choreography. It's like they destroy this house, throwing people into everything. And I thought having the three characters in the kitchen for a good portion of it, the back and forth and the conflict with whether the lead female was going to help the guy or not, because she, if I heard right, she was the nurse for
That helped his daughter.
helped
yeah.
his daughter.
Helped
so
his daughter.
so she had her motivation, however thin it may have been, to take that big of a leap to do it, but it seemed like once the ball got going, there was no backing out of it. So I don't know. I'm kind of in Dave's corner. I thought this was far more interesting than I thought it was going to be be honest with you, and enjoyed it. I didn't have a problem with anybody's acting either, but I'll probably watch it again. I can see what you were saying. So Christopher does not agree with me with the dialogue at all.
So, no.
No, I mean, I agree with Jeff. I think the lady who played the nurse, I think did a good job. I mean, she got better as it went along, even though, again, I also agree with Crystal. Just, I don't know. There's a lot of stupid motivations behind characters that didn't make any sense. Also, this is a filmmaker nitpick, but there's the sound design in certain parts really bad, where it was like, it was almost like they didn't know how to edit between the different sounds. Because there's a part where he's like fighting the guy like in the bathroom, he knocks his gun down, and it goes between the different sounds kind of weirdly, and it's like, whoever did the sound design needed to do a better job. And so, yeah, I could sort of see what they're going for, but I mean, there's like a whole scene where the guy's just let his phone ring on and on. I was like, are they trying to allow this to be an hour and a half?
Bothering me so bad. Yes.
Burn some
Thank you.
Because you had that one quiet guy who's just going around, look at the phone, walking around this biker gang bar or whatever.
Are we in spoilers right now?
We're in spoilers. So
Can someone please explain to me why the guys that he called try to kill him? I don't understand. Why are they trying to kill him too?
Well,
The other guy wants to take over the empire or something.
What? Oh my God!
Yeah,
really?
because the guy owns.
He says,
all
"I
the
want it
different
all."
houses.
What are you doing? Why are you doing
He
this? I
did
want
say
it
that.
all.
He wants it all. I also thought he was trying to cover his own actions.
Because he did it.
Because
he's
he
the
did
one
it.
that did
So
it.
he wanted to make sure everybody was dead. That's what I got out of it.
Why was the guy that went with all the guys? Why did he have a bruise on his face? Was there something that got cut out earlier?
Oh,
or did I
because
miss
yeah.
something?
No, Chris, when he kidnapped the guy that they have tied up, he whacked him with something across the face. He started to get up.
Gotcha.
Okay.
So was there a thing where I thought I heard him say at one point that his daughter was raped 5 years ago?
Yeah.
And that she had something she'd gone through like 6 months before.
There was never explained, and I don't know if they were trying to apply maybe the guy over the housing. Maybe he did something to her.
Well, I
don't know.
Yeah, I felt like there was something between those two, the landlord and her, that never got explained.
Well,
there seemed to be something.
No, that's right, because she's in like the housing,
Low income housing.
Well, later on, she's like, "Did you do that or something?" So evidently, she already knows he's not a nice person. So I didn't know if the implication was.
I think that's why she believed him so fast. Just because
that's probably it.
She knew he was
bad.
Yeah.
She was. I mean, okay, for lack of a better word, we'll just say they're like in a mafia.
Yeah,
it's some kind of organized crime thing.
Yeah.
Because maybe the implication is that maybe that's why he slept with his wife, so they, because of the house thing. I don't know. I mean, it's like there's a lot of questions that they kind of left out there for you to sort of figure out on your own, but it just made it more confusing as to why.
It wasn't clear. And normally, like, I can make those sort of connections if there's something, but it wasn't obvious enough to me. I would have loved had they shown maybe a few more flashbacks or something between these two, the leader and the guy that's coming in. I don't know. I just needed something. It would have made the movie at least make more sense to me,
So,
I mean,
the things that bothered me were like, I'm watching these fights, and I swear they're upstairs, and Chris is shooting this gun off, and there's somebody downstairs, but he doesn't. They don't react to that at all.
Yeah.
Until later on. Until later on, they hear somebody screaming. Then all of a sudden, it's like, I'm like,
I know. It's ridiculous.
Maybe it was
And the neighbors never reacted too, and they were like
the
literally
neighbors.
and they
It
would
was like
have
a
heard a
party or
gunshot.
something.
Yeah.
Like they were out in the yard at one point, and even if it was later at night and everybody went to bed, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was supposed to be Halloween as well.
Oh, yeah.
And then
And it was still relatively early because there was a little girl at the door at the end. So.
Yeah, that's true. And why does she just go outside and sit? Why doesn't she call an ambulance or a doctor or a cops or something?
Okay, that part I'll just let I'll let that go. We'll pretend she's in shock and she's just like, Okay, that's the least of my problems with this movie, I think.
Well, we've seen other characters in other movies do that.
Yeah. So I can get behind that. It's just there's so much.
So was the wrapped gun? Was that Chris's gun? Where did that come from?
It was like under the stoop. It looked like
because he pulled it out and he's like, "Ooh, a gun!" And I'm like,
"Where?"
And he has more shells for it. I think it seemed like he hid it there somehow.
Yeah, but it made it seem like, "Ooh, I just found a wrapped gun." I don't know. It's like, yeah, there's just so many like.
Well, apparently these guys with the masks on, that was the other side of it. Is they really weren't all that formidable, you know.
No.
They weren't.
Their jackets are more.
They certainly
didn't. Than they were.
Certainly didn't know how to work together either. So.
They're splitting skulls. They're splitting their own.
Dave, you gotta defend this.
Oh
somehow.
yeah, Dave, you're the only. Yeah, Dave.
Yes. As usual, I'm just sitting here listening. You guys ramble on. You guys get like way deeper into this stuff than I do. For me, this movie was just, lady comes home from work. There's a guy laying in her kitchen. She's like, "What the fuck?" And then she realizes there's another guy there, and then she realizes she knows that guy. So we get a little bit of backstory that she treated the daughter of this, and then it just goes bonkers. And there is a lot of stuff that doesn't really make sense. But at the end of the day, it's power plays for people. The guy wants vengeance against the dude in the chair. The guy in the chair is obviously like a low-rung mafioso type guy. And the other guy that's out on the street is the guy who actually did it. And it all just explodes into this giant shit show of violence and blood. Yeah, that's all it is.
If you watch it for that, I think you'll be okay with it.
That's all. Yeah, I don't know anything about color grading or sound design. I don't give a fuck about that. It was bloody. It was violent. It was fun. I liked it.
Okay, so what the other thing is, this dude in the chair bothers me and is he's like, I didn't do it, but apparently he knew this whole time who did. Mm-hmm. So I'm sorry.
He's not going to go with the food of the
Hey, you know what? If you ever watched Sopranos, Big Pussy never gave up Tony. You don't do it.
You don't do
He's
that.
not a rat.
It's not
but I'll tell you, this would if even mobsters should have their line, and child rape should be their line.
Yeah, for sure. That's what I mean. The subject matter was very distasteful. But but then again, there would have to be something that would cause that our lead guy to go as jack shit crazy as he does, to want to kill this man. So I get the incentive.
No, I know. I'm totally with that. I'm just saying for the guy in the chair not to give him up. I think at that point he has daughters of his own. Oh, you really want your own daughters? That's why he was so freaked out about that guy being at his house. Remember in the beginning? Because that's the guy who had done that to that. He knew that he had hurt her, and he's like, "Oh, I can't have this at my house because he's got those two girls." I would have murked his freaking butt. I would have murked if he's the leader. I would have murked his butt so fast. You touch a child, and then I have children. Oh no, you're dead.
Well, that's it kind of goes under the category for me of quit talking and do it. You got the guy. He's all tied up in a chair, and eventually you got a gun, and boom, go home.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't. It's like the guy.
Feature.
Yeah, the guy was so
It's
sure,
like an episode
so sure.
of Batman.
Mm-hmm. He's like, I'm so sure he did it. I'm so sure because they found a fingerprint or whatever. Blah 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 blah.
Yeah,
and then yet
turned out he was cheating. So that was it.
Yeah, it's like what the heck? Like okay.
All right, well, let's go ahead and wrap this one up. Let's give our final thoughts, our score 1 to 5, and our favorite scene. Dave Dreher, sir, you are.
I get to go first. I've been pretty much said everything. It's obviously a flawed film, but if you're just a freaky ass gorehound like me and you're looking for a bunch of violence and blood that doesn't necessarily have to make sense, this is your flick. I enjoyed the watch. Favorite scene, it's got actually I like that the whole bathroom scene was great, but obviously the hammer in the eye was the best part. But the whole scene, that whole series of mayhem that goes on in that bathroom is just absolute insanity. I'm going to give this a 3.75.
Oh, wow.
I did.
Good.
I enjoyed it. I'll probably watch it again when it shows up on Shudder, just for shits and giggles.
S&G that thing. All right.
Yeah.
Christopher G. Mohr, you're up next. Your final thoughts, your score, and your favorite scene.
Well, I'll again say positively that it's shot competently, but certain parts of the subject matter just turned me off to the film overall. And some of the acting isn't good, and then also some of the dialogue and story just doesn't make a lot of sense. If you want to fast forward to all the fights in the kitchen,
Yeah.
that might be worthwhile if you want to see. It's got some. They definitely don't shine the gore. There's some low camera angles where people's throats being slit and the blood spurts. So it probably would make for a good 3D movie if you took out some of the subject matter. But this film turned me off big time. I did, and the ending is just stupid. The ending is just stupid. You have a kid. I think the first thing you'd want to care about is getting to your kid, not passing out candy to Halloween kids when you're probably have internal bleeding and you're going to die. So come on, stupid. So rating wise,
Yes.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
just know this rating is because I'm turned off by certain elements.
Yes.
And some people might enjoy this or at least tolerate it more than I do. I'll give it a 1.75.
Oh, okay.
I
That's
did
not
not-
too bad. That's not too
I didn't.
bad.
I'm not. It like I said, it's still competently shot,
Mhm.
and there's some crazy gore stuff that happens. But overall, yeah, this film rubbed me the wrong way. I hope I never have to watch this again. So maybe that's a good thing. Maybe that's the whole point of it, I guess. But that whole, yeah, I turned off when we got to the playground,
Yes.
which was just hard to watch. Even though it's applied. As it's hard to pick a favorite scene. I'll say the hammer into the eye. Let's just say that's
Okay.
that's my scene.
Since you and Dave share that scene, all right.
That's
I take a segment of that, or you know what? I'll say crowbar. How about that?
Oh, at the end, crowbar to the head.
Crowbar to the head.
All right. Very good. Very good. Crystal, your final thoughts, your score, and your favorite scene.
Okay, so this is an interesting one because I do like the gore. Okay, I'm a gore hound. I do kind of like the torture porn because I'm horrible like that. But there's so many issues with this, and it does have some creepy subject matter. I'm giving it a 2, so it's not like I'm that much higher than Christopher. But once again, yeah, it's competently filmed, and I did like the gore. And clearly, my favorite scene is going to be the hammer to the balls. I mean, duh.
Ah,
It's
yes.
like, that's totally my favorite. I was like, yeah. Yeah, that was fun.
Oh my! Maybe it's hard to sit down right now. All right, Jeff, sir, your final thoughts, your score, and your favorite scene. Ow!
Well, it probably sounds
yeah.
like I was bashing the heck out of this.
It did, sir.
So, from Dave's point of view, I enjoyed this. You know, there's a lot of tension. There's a lot of suspense. You know, and the violence is just full tilt, and so all that stuff I enjoyed. All the things I was talking about, those are things that always they kind of take me out of it. It bothers me when it seems like two things that are happening in two different parts aren't synced up, and that seemed like that happened a bunch. But I did enjoy this. I think it's worth a watch. It's violent as hell, and I think the action makes up for the story lapses, and it is about these emotional issues. My favorite scene, I already took the first two, so my third one is gonna be early on, and I forget exactly what happens, but the two of them, Chris and the nurse, are sitting on opposite sides of the guy in the chair, and Chris reaches across and goes, "I'm Chris, by the way." And she looks at him and goes, "F you." You know, we're not going to be buddies here. And I love that. I thought that was a sign of her character, you know, of where she stood. And I've given this a 3.25.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Oh,
wow.
my.
Mm.
I know I talked way more negative about it. And I apologize for that, but I just had stuff.
I'm shocked by that score. Yes, I think he did it. I'm in Dave's camp. I enjoyed this, and I didn't know, but I was in Jeff's camp too. And I didn't really have problems with like the acting or the subject matter, but I did have, you know, it is a lesser film compared up to other similar films that just did the violence part much better and the whole story part. But at the same time, there were some choices in here that I really liked. Like I was a fan of the lack of dialogue for the most part. Like some characters never talked, or there was just long scenes where they just like, I was enjoying it. Sometimes that bothers me. This time it didn't. And the gore is, it's just that oh my God, the guys in the mask are just so stupid. They're just like, they're so dumb. They're so dumb. I mean, it takes the whole, well, I don't know. It's like the henchmen, like Spider-Man henchmen. You know, Doc Ock would have all these henchmen, and they'd always be so dumb. These are dumber than those henchmen. But hey, you know, they made good fodder. So, and they bled really well. So we'll give them that. I was giving it a 3. So Jeff actually gave it a higher score than me.
Oh.
So there you go. And my favorite scene have all been mentioned. So I'm digging. Okay. I'm going to go with like the house. Just how much they destroyed this house. They smashed into everything. They tore everything up. The refrigerator, everything that was in the living room, the bathroom. I did find out reading into it that the house that they filmed it in was set to be demolished. So they had.
Oh, that's smart.
They had to run. They could do whatever they wanted.
That's
in it.
cool.
And of course, it fit because it was supposed to be in low income housing. So
right. Well, I liked it because it was a small house too. Sometimes you get these spaces bigger to film in than anybody would ever live in.
Yeah, I certainly didn't have any problem figuring out where people were. You know, although why all 3 of them didn't run up the steps? I guess maybe because the steps were so small. I don't know, but whatever. You know, they're just waited their turn.
Yeah, I'm like, wait. Oh my God.
Although I will say, I think there was one slapsticky part that I kind of laughed at is when he slammed the guy in the fridge, and then she takes the teapot.
Yes.
She's trying to hit him with something.
It was like a teapot, and it felt very like Home Alone or something.
Yep.
And it kind of made me laugh because it was like,
she didn't have a good angle, and she didn't really hit him very hard.
That one guy just had a bad day, that's for sure. All right, guys, there you go. That's our review for the Sake of Vicious. It's streaming on Shudder, so you have the opportunity because you have Shudder, so you're going to be able to stream this and watch it and let us know what you think in the comments down below. Jeff, Dave, Christopher, Crystal, give me back those R's. Thank you for joining me.
Oh my gosh.
I'm sorry, Doc.
All right, let's say goodnight.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.